First question, which of the following is not a weakness in Kerberos? So question 2, voice pattern recognition is what type of authentication factor? Next question, if Susan's organization requires her to log in with the username, a PIN, a password, a retinal scan, how many distinct authentication factors types has she used? Alright, next question, during a log review, Salia discovers a series of logs that show login failures as shown here. So, as you can see, the logs on Jan 31st, just one trial after another. Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video from 591 Labs. So today we are going to continue our education about CISSP exam preparation. Just a quick introduction for those who are unfamiliar with 591 Labs. They are top training and certification exam brand in China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Singapore. The mission is to provide the students with exceptional preparation material and experience and exercises for the ISC² exams and other vendor-specific cybersecurity certifications as well. So in this video, we are going to look at some of the questions in Domain 5. Domain 5 is addressing identity and access management. So we're going to cover some of the questions associated with this domain and some of the tips and tricks that can help you within the real exam. Alright, first question, which of the following is not a weakness in Kerberos? So I'm going again, for those who are new to the video, I'm going to just have a 5-second pause, and then you can pause the video if you want to answer on your own. And then once you have your answer, you can resume the video so that I will explain the right answer and why I chose it. So the options are: the KDC is a single point of failure. Compromise of the KDC would allow attackers to impersonate any user. Authentication information is not encrypted, or it is susceptible to password guessing. So the answer for this one is actually C. Authentication information is not encrypted. So this is not a weakness in Kerberos. This is a weakness in some other authentication methodologies, but actually it is not in Kerberos because the messages are encrypted using a secret key, providing protection for the authentication traffic associated with the Kerberos server. So the KDC both is a single point of failure and can cause a problem if compromised because keys are stored on the KDC that would allow attackers to impersonate any users. These are actually weaknesses that can happen to not just Kerberos but to many authentication protocols as well. And of course it can be still susceptible to password guessing. If you're choosing a weak password, no matter what authentication protocol you're using or solution, it would still be considered a weakness. So question 2, voice pattern recognition is what type of authentication factor? Is it something you know, something you have, or something you are, or somewhere you are? So yeah, we always actually differentiate authentication factors by the keyword something you. Something you know is like a password or a PIN code or a security question. All of these are associated with something that you memorize, that you have to provide that because only you know about it. This is the something you know. Something you have, like for example, a mobile phone, a card, a key, a token, anything that you physically possess. This is something you have. This is another authentication factor. Something you are is associated with biometrics. So biometrics is, of course, associated with voice recognition. A voice recognition, your voice is different from mine, it's different from his. So this is associated with biometrics. So of course, the answer would be C. Somewhere you are, this is associated with a location you are currently at. Next question. If Susan's organization requires her to log in with the username, a PIN, a password, a retinal scan, how many distinct authentication factors types has she used? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Again, you can pause the video if you want to think about it, and then resume and I will provide the correct answer. Alright, let's go through them together. So, username, okay, this is just identification. A PIN is something you know, as we agreed. Password as well is something you know, so this is the same authentication factor. Retinal scan is something you are, so this is another factor. So in this case, a PIN and a password are considered one authentication factor. Retinal scan is something you are, so this is another thing. So the answer for this one is B, 2 authentication factors. Again, the factor is associated with the questions we have discussed earlier. Something you are, something you know, something you have, or somewhere you are. There are others, like something you can do, like your typing or signature patterns. But these are the mainly used authentication factors. Alright, next question. During a log review, Salia discovers a series of logs that show login failures as shown here. So, as you can see, the logs on Jan 31st, just one trial after another. This IP address, all right, is trying to log in with the SSH, and the passwords they are using is orange 3, orange 93, orangutan 1, orange monkey. So again, this is of course an invalid user because the passwords are incorrect. So what type of attack has Salia discovered? Is it a brute force? Is it a man in the middle? Is it a dictionary attack? Or is it a rainbow table attack? So, what is a brute force? Brute force is trying random characters until you discover the correct password. This is what a brute force attack is about. Man in the middle is trying to sniff network traffic in order to steal a valid password. A dictionary attack is trying combination of words that you can find in the dictionary. So that's why, for example, if you want to actually defend against dictionary attacks, when you write orange, you shouldn't write it as is in the dictionary like this. You can write it as ORNG, for example, ORNG. So you understand that this means orange, but you did not actually write it as is from the dictionary. So since he is trying combination of words, like words and numbers, but the words are written as is from the dictionary, so this is actually a dictionary attack. Because a dictionary or a list of common passwords as well as variations of those words to attempt to log in as an authorized user is considered a dictionary attack. Next question. What major issue often results from decentralized access control? Is it access outages may occur? Control is not consistent? Control is too granular, or training costs are high? You can still pause, of course, if you want. and you can answer, and then you can resume the video. So decentralized access control. Decentralized means that each server will have an owner of it, and this owner will decide who is going to access this server with which access rights. User A is going to have read write, user B is going to have read only, user C is not going to have any access. So the owner is going to decide, and he's going to implement this on the servers under his control. Rather than we have a centralized server for access control, everyone is going to check it, and then he's going to access the resource he's allowed to. So of course, a decentralized access control means that each server owner is going to address, or he's going to provide different access according to his vision, according to his opinion. It's not something that is consistent across the whole organization. So in this case, the answer for that, control is not consistent. Outages may occur at any access control type. Control is too granular. No, this is not the case, because the owner knows exactly which user are going to need which access rights exactly, and he's going to provide just that, or this is what's supposed to happen. And it's not about training, it's just about providing access control. So training is kind of irrelevant here. So the answer that fits best this question is B. Control is not consistent. Why? Because we have too many data owners, and each one would have different opinion than others about what is the right or what is the correct access control. Question number 6. Call back to a landline phone number is an example of what type of factor, authentication factor? Is it something you know, or somewhere you are, or something you have, or something you are? So the keyword here is landline, right? If this was a mobile phone, it would definitely be something you have. Something you have. Because the mobile is something you have, you carry it with you everywhere. But a landline phone number is fixed at a specific location, like your home landline number, your office landline number. So this is not movable. This is not something that you take with you and travel, for example. So if I want to verify someone with the landline call, this is going to be an authentication factor that proves somewhere you are. Because if you're able to answer this phone, it means that you are actually physically existing at a specific location. So the answer for this one is B. Next question. Which of the following is not a single sign-on implementation? Kerberos, Active Directory Federation Services, CAS stands for Central Authentication Service, or Radius? So the answer for this one is actually Radius. Radius, I know this was kind of a trick question. Why? Because Radius, vendors use it behind the scene to provide authentication for proprietary single sign-on, or SSO. But at its nature, actually Radius is not a single sign-on solution. It's an authentication solution, not a single sign-on solution. Question number 8. What type of access control allows the owner of a file to grant other users access to issuing an access control list? IT using an access control list, sorry. So is it a rule-based, or is it non-discretionary, or is it a rule-based, or is it discretionary? So again, what type of access control allow the owner of a file to grant other users access to it using an access control list? So I'm the owner, I'm the controller. I'm the one granting access for people based on what? Based on my opinion, or based what I see the business need is behind it. So actually I'm the one who's going to discriminate who is going to have access and who is not. It's not depending on their job title, it's not depending on their roles, it's not depending on some specific preset rules that are applied for the whole company. It is actually up to the owner of the file. So in this case, it's going to be discretionary. Discretionary comes from discriminating. The owner is going to assess and provide the access rights based on his opinion or based on what he see fit. So in this case, it's a discretionary access control method. Next question. Alex's job requires him to see protected health information, PHI. Like, for example, medical history, some diseases, some medications that the patients take, things like that. To ensure proper treatment of patients, his access to their medical record does not provide access to patient address or billing information. What access control concept best describes this control? Is it separation of duties? Is it constrained interfaces? Is it context-dependent control? Or is it need to know? So actually the answer for this one, as you may have guessed, it is need to know. Because let's say I'm the doctor, I have to treat the patient, I have to check their medical history, but I don't need to know where they live or what's their billing information or some other personal information that is irrelevant for me to do my job. So in this case, I'm only seeing the information that I'm required to, that I need to do my job. So in this case, we apply the need to know basis. Question number 10. Jacob is planning his organization's biometric authentication system and is considering retina scans. What concern may be raised about retina scans by others in his organization? Is it retinal scans can reveal information about medical records? Is it retinal scans are painful because they require a puff of air in the user's eye? Or retinal scanners are the most expensive type of biometric device? Or is it retinal scanners have a high false positive rate and will cause support issues? Right. Just to explain what is the retinal scan, let's say this is the eye, right? And this is the colored part of the eye, okay? This is called the iris scan. This is not the retinal scan. So what is the retinal scan? The retinal, if we take a cross section of the eye, and this is still the iris, retina is this part right here. It's at the back end of the eye. So the scanner will be something very precise that's going to scan this part right here. This is the retinal scan. So of course, scamming retinal scan or frauding retinal scan is almost impossible. You have to take a person's eye out in order to use something like that. So it is actually very accurate kind of scan. And it doesn't require a puff in the eye or anything. Although it is expensive, but this shouldn't be the concern that is raised about it. But actually, Retinal scans can reveal additional information, including like high blood pressure, sometimes pregnancy, can cause privacy concerns about users. Newer retinal scans don't require buffing of the air in the eye, as we said, and they are even, the new scanners are even not as expensive as well. So the answer for this one is actually A. They can reveal information about medical condition. Even if you have high blood sugar levels as well, they can sometimes make some deformations in the blood vessels right here, and this can sometimes also change your signature, your retinal signature, and will reveal as well that you have some high blood sugar levels as a medical condition as well. Which of the following is not a type of attack used against access controls? Dictionary attack, brute force, teardrop, or man in the middle? So, as we said, dictionary attack, of course, is an authentication attack, as well as brute force, as well as man in the middle. But teardrop attack is a different one. This is not actually against access control. This is a type of a denial of service attack rather than an access control attack. So the answer for this one is C. Next question. Jim has worked in human relations, payroll, and customer service roles in his company over the past few years. What type of process should his company perform to ensure that he has appropriate rights? Reprovisioning, account review, privilege creep, account revocation. So, since I'm working in or worked in HR, payroll, and customer service roles, and I want to make sure that I have the correct access controls for my current job role, in this case, we should perform account review. Account review should be performed in two conditions. Periodically, I should periodically perform account review, make sure that people, they have all the needed access rights, nothing more, nothing less. Or when a change happens, someone have changed roles and he would require some new access rights, and to revoke some of the old access rights that he doesn't need anymore. So this will happen again, should be performed as well in here. The account review when a change happens. Next question. Which of the following is a client-server protocol designed to allow network access servers to authenticate remote users by sending access request messages to a central server? Is it Kerberos? Is it Extensible Authentication Protocol? Is it Radius? Or is it Open Authentication? So the answer for this one is actually C, Radius. This is an authentication authorization and accounting protocol used to provide authentication authorization, often used for modems, wireless network, and network devices. Also uses the network access servers to send access requests to a central Radius server. Kerberos is a ticket-based authentication protocol. Open authentication is an open standard for authentication, allowing the use of credentials from one site on third-party site. Like, for example, you're using your Google account to authenticate with another website you're accessing or something like that. Next question. When an application or system allows a logged-in user to perform specific action, it is an example of what? Roles, group management, logins, or authorization. So this brings me to the IAAA terminology. I stands for identification. Like you're providing your username. You're saying, I'm this person. And then you authenticate. Authenticate by the factors that we have discussed earlier, with the password, with a PIN, with a security question, with a token, with biometrics. So this is proving that this is really you. All right, we have proved that this is really you. Then comes authorization. Yeah, this is really you. What are you authorized to do? Are you authorized to access? With which rights? Read, write, read, write, and delete, or audit. What is your access rights? So you are a logged in user, and you want to perform specific actions. Specific actions, they have to be authorized for you to do that. So in this case, this is actually an example of authorization. Last question. When a subject claims an identity, what process is occurring? Login, identification, authorization, or token presentation? So again, this is associated with the previous explanation I just did. Claiming an identity, it's associated with identification, which stands for the I, as we have discussed earlier. So the answer for this one is B. Thank you so much for attending today's class at 591 Labs. We hope you found the material informative and helpful. Remember, practice is critical for mastering any new skill, for learning information, and for keeping track of all the information that has been provided. So please review the course content, keep practicing with 591 Labs help and support. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact us. We appreciate your participation and look forward to seeing you in our future classes. Have a great day.